John, Eagles make a move at 83 overall and get Nakobe Dean, linebacker out of Georgia. Team him up with Jordan Davis, who they got at 13 overall. What's your initial reaction to the big pick at 83 after some called it an underwhelming pick at 51? I liked the pick at 51. What's your take on the last two picks?
Well, the Eagles, in my final mock draft, I had them taking Cam Jurgens in the second round at number 51 overall. Kind of well known here around the NovaCare complex that they were very interested in that particular player. We all know Jason Kelsey's year to year, and there's a lot of thought that this is going to be his final year. So they want to get that heir apparent. He's very close with Jeff Stoutland. He was coached by one of Jeff Stoutland's students, so to speak. So he understands the sort of the Eagles system already. So they were really, really high on that particular player, even though he's not exciting to the fan base, because as we all know, they don't want offensive linemen. They never want offensive linemen until they turn into Jason Kelsey or Lane Johnson or Jordan Mailata. Then it's they love him, but it's just not a sexy pick on the night of the draft. Now, Nakobe Dean, because so many people had projected him as a potential first round pick, is a very sexy pick, and people are going to be very excited by that. Deal with Nakobe Dean is a lot of teams had taken him off the board because of medical issues. He had a pec injury. Number of doctors recommended surgery. He did not get it. So there was some concern on a lot of boards, and he was medically red flagged. The Eagles do that cost benefit analysis, and they said third round, 83 overall, potential first round talent, probably worth the risk at that point. So that kind of changes it. If you go back in to the DK Metcalf draft, for instance, when the Eagles put a medical red flag on him in the second round, first round, it was day one and day two. They would have considered him if he fell to day three of the draft. Obviously, he didn't. Went in and he went far before that. So you always have that cost benefit analysis, Zander, and it changes as the draft goes down. And they felt comfortable with Nakobe Dean in the third round, where they wouldn't have felt comfortable in the first or second round.
I mean, John, I'm just looking, and I hear you, and I respect your football opinion more than just about anyone. When you talk about Daniel Jeremiah, he's another one. He had him ranked 17th on his top 150 player. We just drafted him at 83rd overall. You mentioned some of the other players with the medical red flags. DK Metcalf, he had it. I mean, he's a great player in the league. He's established himself. I mean, this seems like a home run pick at 83 overall. I mean, I'm a Bama guy. I love both these guys they just got in Davis and Dean. I thought they were the big two. I mean, a lot of people like Trayvon. A lot of people liked Devontae Wyatt. I liked Davis. I liked Dean. We got them both in Philadelphia. Jonathan Gannon needs to step up because they invested some assets and some dollars in his defense.
Well, we'll see, how bad the injury situation is and how it's going to be cleared up and when Nakobe's going to be able to go. Maybe the Eagles convince him to get the surgery. Who knows where it goes from here. So it's something you got to keep your eye on. But I will say this, if you go back to last year, it's very similar. You mentioned you're an Alabama guy. They went Alabama in the first and second round. And Landon Dickerson was the second round pick, who was a potential first round pick that fell because of injury concerns. And it worked out for the Eagles. Now it's Georgia, first round and third round. Nakobe Dean falls because of potential injury issues. So, maybe lightning strikes twice and they get two first round talents. And obviously that works out. And all of a sudden, linebacker, which has been an issue for a very long time around here. You have TJ Edwards, who's coming off a very good year. You have Kaiser White as a free agent. So you have some time to get Nakobe Dean up to speed, get him as healthy as possible. And he's got a chance to be, the best linebacker around here since, at least I would say Michael Kendricks at least. So to me, in the third round, it's worth it. Um, Clearly, it wasn't just the Eagles. Obviously, as you mentioned, and Daniel Jeremiah. And the one thing is, as reporters, and even DJ works for the NFL Network as a draft analyst. The one thing we don't get is the medicals, and that's why you always have these types of situations where players you don't expect to fall as much as they
Right.
do. They fall because of the medicals, and that's information we can't get, unfortunately. And when it is leaked, it's probably not good information. So it's difficult. And in this particular case, it was all medical. This is a very good player, but there's significant medical concerns.
Right. I'm giving Howie the flowers today, John. I just listened to the panel from the JAKIB draft special night 2, Gary Cobb, Mark Farzetta, Devin Caney. They all were upset with the pick at 51 overall.
Yeah, everybody's upset. That's a good pick.
Because they
That's a good pick.
Nakobe. Oh, I love the pick at 51. I'm a big fan of that guy. That player from what school is it? What school? Nebraska. Nebraska
Yeah.
O-lineman, and get him in Jeff Stoutland's system. I think that's a good move at any time. But anyway, the panel was saying I wanted Nakobe Dean. Well, we waited. We got the offensive center. Jason Kelsey called him the best center in the draft, and we get Nakobe Dean at 83. I know they got the medical, but I like it. I'm elated over here.
Yeah, I mean, again, I keep going back to that cost benefit. It probably wasn't there in the second round for the Eagles. I think they were going to pick Cam Jurgens anyway. That's how much they liked that particular player. And obviously, Jeff Stoutland likes him a ton. And Jeffrey Lurie, a couple of weeks ago, talked about the talent evaluation skills of Jeff Stoutland and how the Eagles rely on it. So when Jeff sort of bangs the table for a player, the Eagles are generally going to listen. And that was the case with Cam Jurgens. And you said when he gets in the Stoutland system, that's one of the big things. He already is. They run the exact same system that Jeff Stoutland runs because one of his old, coaches and one of his old students, so to speak, coaches out in Nebraska. So it was almost a perfect storm for the Eagles. And as you mentioned, Jason Kelsey came out and said he's his favorite player in the draft. And, it's pretty evident now that this is probably the swan song for Jason Kelsey. And he's let the Eagles know that.
That was my next question. Any chance Jason Kelsey's let them know, hey, this might be my last year?
And, it's probably not 100%. If he's an all-pro again, the Eagles go on a deep playoff run, he might change his mind.
Right.
But, he's probably indicated to the Eagles that this is likely it. And you got to start thinking about the future at that particular position. And a lot of people have said the Eagles have Landon Dickerson, who played center at Alabama, and they have Isaac Seumalo, who can play center. But you also, by drafting Cam Jurgens, you also have the ability to tell those guys, all right, you're the left guard, you're the right guard. Don't worry about anything else. You don't have to worry about moving down the road. Just focus in on your particular job. So for a lot of reasons, I think that was a good decision by the Eagles. But again, I know it's not going to be a sexy decision. It never is when you take an offensive lineman. And I think people are going to grow to like that pick. And obviously, I knew the exact opposite. As soon as I got word that they were taking Nakobe Dean, I knew everybody would be excited because, look, he's been pumped up now since February as a first-round pick.
D Gunn telling me all week on Sports Take, he's my favorite linebacker. I like him more than Lloyd. I like him more than all of them.
Yeah, maybe even higher than Devin Lloyd by a lot of people. And, the linebackers, as they usually do, got pushed down the board a little bit. Very instinctive player. We know that Georgia defense. And, one of the reasons for Nakobe Dean's success at Georgia was Jordan Davis. And, you think about just moving that to the professional level. You got big Jordan tying up two blockers and Nakobe Dean with the athleticism to just run from side to side. So it makes a lot of sense for the Eagles.
Yeah, I mean, I love it. I think it's great if it all works out. I know the medical has to work out, but like you just pointed out, Davis in the front, Dean back there with the athleticism. That's a pretty picture, John. I want to do a quick recap. We got Jordan Davis at 13. They made the trade for A.J. Brown to top off that. They got Juergens, and they just took Nakobe Dean.
Dean.
Where are you right now on how Howie's doing? Howie was getting a little bit of pressure before the draft, not doing enough, being too patient. He's made some moves. He signed a $100 million man yesterday. Comes back with, I think, a good day two in the draft today, a reasonable day two. I know a lot of people are beating up on this center pick. I loved it. I mean, the reality is we got two guys on that offensive line that are north of 30, and that's the best part of our team. I don't want that to drop off, just because I don't want to.
Yeah, exactly. You got to start thinking about the future. And, who knows? Maybe the Eagles can trade Kate Herbig now. Maybe they can get another day three pick because, as much as a home run day one was for the Eagles, and you mentioned you get Jordan Davis, you get A.J. Brown, but you had to give up 6 draft picks to do it. So what you had 10 picks, you're down to 5. All of a sudden, maybe you can add a few more on day 3. So who knows what happens from here? But you have to say the first 2 days have been a rousing success, and that's how I started Birds 365 this morning. Zander, I said, people are going to get mad at me, but Philadelphia has a pretty good general manager, whether they realize it or not. And, too many don't realize it.
Yeah, I mean, I think the last 2 years for Howie have been pretty good in terms of retooling this team to put them in a position to be successful down the line. So I will give Howie his credit for that. John, just to get back to one of our listeners on the show, I want to end with Nakobe fell to 83 because of a major medical flag. One more time, just give me what that was and what the procedure might be. Could he miss time? What can the Eagles fans, what can the Eagles expect from Nakobe Dean this offseason and going into year one? And
he had a significant pec injury. Some people have said strained. Some people have said slightly torn. He also has a labrum issue with his shoulder from the past, but there was a number of doctors who recommended surgery for Nakobe, and he didn't want to have the surgery for whatever reason. That's often a very personal decision. NFL teams thought he needed the surgery. Maybe ultimately gets the surgery. Generally, when that happens with a pack, it's a 6-month injury at best case scenario. So you start talking about, well, we're in April, May, June, July, August, September, October. So that would be well into the season. But again, the Eagles have TJ Edwards, they have Kaiser White. So worst case scenario, he has surgery. It is a 6-month type rehab or something of that nature. That's fine. And then maybe he's ready to go full bore in 2023.
I'm ready for it, Johnny Mac. That looks good to me. That sounds good to me in terms of Jordan Davis, Nakobe Dean, Kaiser White, Hassan Reddick. All sounds good to me, John. I'll let you get back to work, get back to the draft. We're closing out round 3. We're at pick 91. That'll do it, Johnny Mac. Good stuff so far from the Eagles.
All right. Thanks, Andrew.